Welcome back to A Corporate Time. On the line with us.
This is a first. We've never done this before.
Yeah.
Now we get all of the secrets.
One half of StartLivingLucky.com.
My favorite half.
We've got Jason on the line. How you doing, Jason?
I'm good. Not the pretty half, but half.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, Jana is sick, right?
Yeah, she's. I think it's just a stomach bug. Something she ate yesterday.
Yeah.
It's more the top half.
Oh, man.
Yeah. You could have said
Which
throwing
is a
up.
blessing.
You could have said throwing up.
With a paraplegic, you don't want to have the bottom half going crazy.
I mean, you just
why
cut a
not?
hole. You just cut a hole. Yeah, you just go out in the yard and cut a hole.
So, Jason, what's been going on with you guys? What have you been up to?
Right now, we're just planning for a big retreat in Green Bay coming up in less than a month, and that's going to be just spectacular. Got about 200 or 300 women and men getting together for Rise Up 2023 conference.
So
Rise Up, Atlanta Falcons.
It's in Green Bay.
Yeah, and I've never been to Green Bay, but I hear that June is the time to go and not go in the winter months.
It does sound like an exciting place to go, right? I, too, have not been to Green Bay, and I love big cities I've never been to. So, like, the first time I went to Chicago, it wouldn't matter when I was going. I'd be like, it's Chicago. This is awesome.
Well, is Green Bay considered a big city?
I think so, yeah.
I thought it was always like Green Bay is like Midwest.
It is, but
nothing.
I think of it in terms of being a big city because all big football teams, I always equate that with big cities.
Yeah,
I equate them with big cities too, but Green Bay doesn't seem to have a huge airport to fly into. It's easier to fly into Milwaukee.
Everybody's saying it's an S-hole. That's what the chat room's saying. Man, the chat room is mean.
Well,
and the chat room's saying it's not a big city. So I don't know anything about Green Bay.
I don't either.
Completely,
I don't know what to expect.
I'm ignorant to it. I always assumed, just because I get all of my geography from the NFL, that it was a top-tier organization, so it's a big-ass city.
Well, it's bigger than Orlando.
Doesn't have a team or a stadium for an NFL team.
Correct.
Green Bay does.
Yeah, like
so
Green Bay to me is bigger than
guts.
Tampa, and I know Tampa is huge. Jacksonville is huge, right? So I always assumed Green Bay is, I mean, it may not be all high rises, but I always assumed it's a big-ass city.
Yeah.
Now you're telling me it's a tiny S-hole?
Hold on, Sam, look up
I've been lied
what's
to my
bigger,
entire
Green Bay or
life.
Tampa? As far as population, I would
Green Bay.
I would think Green Bay, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously I know not. Look, I'm okay with being wrong. That's the thing, is that there are plenty of people listening. The chat room, everybody's like, Daniel, you're such an idiot. I'm fine being an idiot.
I've never even wanted to go to Green Bay. Right?
Where's it more fun to live? It's more fun to live in Tampa.
I think about like big cities. I've never been like, oh, I got to go to Green Bay. But if you said, hey, man, we're going to Green Bay, I'd be like, oh, I've never been. That sounds exciting.
Population,
I've never been to New York
Tampa
City.
Bay is bigger.
Really?
Yeah.
But as far as like, what does a city look like? Is there like some picture of it? Is it
There's
Yeah,
plenty of
give me
pictures on the internet of Green Bay.
Give me a street. Give me a
What is
Google
that?
Street View. I got to work on getting her computer hooked into this one because she's so fast on looking things up. Give me a Google Street View of downtown Green Bay.
So, Jason,
Where they're shellacking over an Aaron Rodgers, billboard.
Oh yeah,
ripping
they-
all those down,
they-
ripping them down.
They're burning the jerseys and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
I like that.
Although
That's real football.
Green Bay, like, listen, I'm tired of hearing the people bitch because you guys had Favre and Rodgers for so long.
Yeah,
and
shut up.
Yeah, you lucked out.
Shut up.
To having two generational quarterbacks back to back, and for them to have such a long career
And
with you.
all the Tampa people are already complaining too. Look, you had Brady. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, but that was real short. That was,
But still, they won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They're right back to complaining now.
It was during COVID because old man Brady needed a quiet stadium to win.
You're going to get some
I'm just
emails.
saying,
You're going to get some emails.
I don't count it the
Was Brady
same.
assisted living years.
We have to put an asterisk next to the COVID Super Bowl because the whole season.
Don't do that to our friends to the right.
We
don't do that.
We should just erase it and not even count it because it was not the real. It wasn't a real games. There's no one at the stadium.
Win.
They pumped in music or crowd noise. It was empty stadiums. It was a practice year.
So you got 200, 300. Are these people that you have asked to come there, or are you one of the 200 or 300?
So I think we'll probably have about 10 people that are going to go just because they are kind of in our training sphere or in our atmosphere, and then we've been asked to speak on the stage and facilitate a workshop.
Do you get nervous about that when you go up to do like these type of workshops where you're? I mean, it's pretty heavy stuff, right? Because you're dealing with people's lives here. Do you get nervous about that?
Honestly, I let Jana do most of the heavy lifting. She's the professional athlete, radio personality, speaker. I love to coach one-on-one. I love to coach groups, and I let her do her thing. I kind of fill in the spaces and the gaps and try to add humor when I can. And
does she ever tell you to knock it off? Because I feel like I'm the Jason. I'm the Jason of our relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you're up there.
Or you can't take anything seriously.
Yeah.
Every question you're asking Tracy while she's driving us around is all jokes, and she's trying to answer. I'm like, shut up. Just let her drive.
Well, let me ask you a question about that, because this one, you've brought this up multiple times, which leads me to believe it was really bothering you. So while this exchange, Tracy and I are having this exchange, who is in the wrong? The man whose job is to take nothing funny, or the lady who's trying to answer it accurately?
Well,
I say both of us were doing our job, sir.
Well, we weren't on air, so that's not your job.
I blame both of you.
Okay.
I blame
That's
Tracy
the right
for
answer. That's the right answer.
even trying to answer
She's
absurd questions
and
that don't make any sense.
She likes chirping. She likes talking.
Yeah. Just ignore Daniel when he's talking. He's,
I know. I feel that around here too. I feel that around here. Sometimes I have to yell things. I have to be like, I'm going to do it this time. And then they'll turn around and I'll be like, gotcha. All right.
No, I wouldn't even turn. I was just keep looking.
So what else have you guys been doing? What do you have planned?
I just got through receiving a Woman of the Year. There were 23 Women of the Year for Orlando Magazine. That was pretty exciting and out of the blue. So that was last week.
Yeah, it's crazy. I thought that might be one of the reasons why we didn't have Jana today. I figured that's a pretty...
Yeah, she's doing her stadium tours today.
Right.
So,
I mean, that's a pretty huge honor to have. It was Orlando Magazine, correct?
Yeah, and it was a real shock. It was unexpected, and just it was new to us because we haven't. A lot of times we're not in the limelight.
Yeah.
We're just kind of working with individuals, working with small groups, and I think our work with Share the Love really put us in that position to get that, or her in the position to get that.
Sure.
Shouldn't there? Okay, people accuse me of being negative or like essing on people's joy.
Is that what you're about to do? That's what you're about to do.
No.
That's
There's a reason I'm saying it.
I can see her.
There's a reason I'm prefacing this.
He's reaching into his golf bag and teeing one up. I see him teeing one up right now.
I'm just asking.
Look at Jason's ass-eating grin. Look at Jason doesn't trust you as far as he can throw you. Jason knows you're a goddamn liar, man. You're a liar, man.
Listen, all I'm saying is like, shouldn't there be one Woman of the Year? There's like usually just one.
It takes multiple Women of the Year to equal one Man of the Year.
So 23.
Everybody knows the exchange rate.
How many were there?
There were like
23.
23.
There were. I think it was 23.
Odd number.
Michael Jordan. One Michael Jordan equals 20.
God damn,
I'm
I
gonna
didn't
get the
even
email.
make the
No,
cut.
I'm getting the email.
I thought there would be
I'll
an
put you in
alternate.
there next time. I didn't know you
How do
wanted
you get nominated?
I don't know. I'll nominate you.
But doesn't it take away, like if you're one of the 23, shouldn't it just like they choose a one and it'll be the top Woman of the Year? You know what I'm saying? Like there's only one MVP of the league or whatever.
Did
It's like,
you have to buy your own award like you do with the Win Weekly?
Well, the weekly, they used to give it to you. The weekly's just cheap now. Now they make you buy.
Well, there's 10,000 awards, so
Yeah,
they're like, we can't produce them all.
They made up a bunch because they realized that you
The more-
suckers,
You get more ad money
you
that way.
suckers will go there and just hammer this website.
Yeah.
Oh,
Then they're charging
my
for
God.
advertising. Like, advertise.
It used to also only be a month of time. Now it starts in like January and it
It's
ends
a
in
money
December.
maker.
It goes a full
Happening.
year. It goes a full
Well,
year.
so there's a lot of the marketing that I was expecting that as soon as we got word of it, I thought for sure there would be some type of voting or some type of any type of thing to kind of put the word out, because I thought there would be a Woman of the Year, like a singular, but that never happened. So but all these women are doing just incredible, amazing things throughout Orlando, throughout Central Florida, and all around really the nation to make things better. So
You
it's
should
pretty cool.
write them.
Yeah, but I want
You should
at
write
least they
them.
should be ranked
Yeah.
1 to 23.
You should write them.
Like, I need to know who's the better.
Well, I've seen the list.
Jana was number one.
I've seen the list, and let's just say that Jana is one of the most attractive, if you know what I'm saying.
So Jason,
You're not allowed to say those things, are you?
No. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
She's the most attractive to me.
Yeah.
So
Don't put the to me thing on the end of it. I learned that from Andrea. I also learned that from my mom.
Jason,
Don't say that. You have to just say it and let it be.
Jana is the most attractive.
There you go.
have you guys been traveling at all besides like this Green Bay trip coming up?
No, we haven't. It's we've been here planning, and I guess we started taking dance lessons, which is just crazy for me because it's like ballroom dance lessons.
Nice.
And I am not a ballroom dancer yet, but that's
Jason,
as far
I mean,
as
well,
we've
you're
been
How
trying.
does that work?
Leave him alone.
No,
What do
no,
you mean?
I'm just saying with dancing with someone in a wheelchair.
Well, he sits in her
It's
lap.
interesting. It's very different because I'm doing a lot with my upper body, and
A lot of
I
hunching.
didn't realize how strong your frame has to be to work in that realm.
Yeah. It's a lot
But
of work.
It's
hard.
It's interesting. We'll have to put some videos up.
Yeah,
But
because
Jana, right off the bat, after the first lesson, she's calling the Paralympic committee to see if there's going to be a 2004 2008 dancing competition, and then that there wasn't, so she said, all right, well, we're just going to sign up for a national competition. And I was like, okay, fantastic.
so
I like that.
how does when the instructors teach it? Because I imagine it's a group class, right? There's like multiple people.
We have a private instructor, and she is certified in like working with paraplegics or people in wheelchairs.
That's awesome.
Is there any move where you sit on her lap and then she does the wheelie and spin around? You know,
And then you put your arms out and you're
yeah,
like,
there's got to be. You got to incorporate the chair because
It's
that I feel.
almost like a what's the movie, The Titanic, where I'm on her and I'm just kind of leaning back with my arms
King of the
out.
World.
Yes.
We haven't gotten there yet.
or
so
yeah,
I
or
don't
maybe
know.
how about this one? What if you come out and pretend like you're in a wheelchair and she's under you the whole time?
Okay, you're
and then
sitting
you
on top. of
stand
stand
up.
up,
Big
then you
deal.
do the whale. You do the whale. You stand.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then you
And people are like, "Oh my
And
god!"
then you rip the fat suit off, and you guys do a whale, and then you reveal her.
He just birthed a beautiful woman.
I don't know why you're talking to us.
Yeah, I don't know why. I can see it in your eyes that you question why you talk to us.
So, Jason, back to because I'm so curious about these retreats.
The whale
and-
burned a little hot, didn't it? Can we all agree that the whale burned hot?
Yeah.
It was popular for 2 weeks, and everybody's
It
like,
won the award. It's
"We
fine.
hate you again, whale."
Brendan Fraser.
It
Like,
was a
beloved.
sad movie.
I feel like he is now typecast as the whale forever.
He is the
like,
whale.
No one else.
I'm going as the whale for Halloween.
He can't
You don't
be.
want to go full whale.
He can't be anything else, right? Like
No,
he's
forever
so.
the whale.
I think Pauly Shore's trying to do Encino Man too.
No, he's doing Encino Whale.
Pauly Shore.
I made that up.
Leave him alone. He's coming to town soon.
He's gotta give it up.
He's
Well,
never
yeah.
giving it up.
I'm sorry.
He
I
still
don't-
wears our shirt.
I
Welcome
don't-
back. He does wear it, but
I
it's the only
know.
shirt he has.
I know.
Welcome back to Encino Whale.
Why are we mean to the people that are nice to us?
I don't know. That's
that-
what that lady has.
That lady's right.
What makes you curious about these retreats, Tom?
Oh, because I
He
want
doesn't
to.
believe in anything.
No, it's not that. Well, it is that kind of. But also, I want to do this because I feel like there's lots of money to be made in organizing
there
this.
it is.
And then, can you train me? Because
I just want to drop his hand going, there it is. Staring off into nothing.
'Cause
She's like, yep, I could smell it coming.
Because I feel like it's just like the podcast, whatever the hell convention it is or whatever.
Yeah,
it's
the
like,
podcast awards, the...
I could sell a retreat because you get a block of hotel rooms.
Oh, it's kinda like
and
the
then
Tom
they
and
give you a
Ed cruise,
discount.
right?
Yeah. They give you a discount. You get some gift bags and get everybody out
Are
there.
we
get
doing
some
another
speakers.
cruise?
Well, I can't. Tony told me
Tony
not
said
to
don't talk about it.
Why? It's his business. He's a cruise director.
No, he said don't mention it. He said he's working some
Yeah.
things
do
out.
you guys make
Sounds
any money
pretty
off
shady,
of this?
if you ask me.
Is this
Well,
something?
you can make a ton of money off of these. We're not at the point where we're booking out whole hotel rooms.
But you
if
want
you go
to.
Tony Robbins, and you know there's going to be a couple thousand people there, and every hotel within 2 miles is all the rooms are sold out, and you buy the room directly from his site. So he's making a premium on the rooms because he's already got all those rooms.
I mean, maybe
That's
we do need
what
to
I'm
do
talking
this.
about.
You know
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
I mean,
And then
you could make a fortune just if you'd set up a small 3-day retreat on how to set up a subscription-based business and how to start a podcast or how to put on an event. I think you would sell it out and you wouldn't have to do much with it. And you guys have been
and
doing
we get
this
to
for the
run
last-
out to a theme song. We run out, we're like, hey,
Well-
what's up, everybody? Who's ready to get inspired?
Also, the problem is I don't know how to do any of that. Like, I'm
The thing
making it
is,
up
you've
as I
been
go.
So you don't see the process that you go through every day. So you sit down with someone and
It's-
you just
it's different
dial
every
back
day.
What gets done
Yeah,
on
It's
a
different
daily
every
That's the
day.
Can't
problem.
describe it.
Like
There
this
is no
morning,
routine.
like this morning, he stood on his head in his desk chair and he turned on his computer with his toes.
Yeah, I spent days trying to find Papone's number.
My
And I
God,
couldn't-
you guys,
And
you
then-
only
and then
knew.
I
And I
said-
told everybody, I was like, he must hate us.
No,
He
no.
hasn't
And
said
I
nothing.
told you, I
We
said,
gotta
do
go.
you want me to message him on Facebook? And you're like, nothing can be done. And I just said, did you get Tom's message? And he wrote me in a second and said, just saw it.
Well, because when you said that, I ran and did it first. So
He's like, Daniel's a genius. I can't let him beat me to the best
You're
answer.
like, send him a message. I never thought of that. Anyway, now, because it's hard because like I feel. Yes, you're correct. You if you have been doing something for a long period of time, there's value in telling others how you did it, right? There's value in information. I mean,
Sure.
that's all colleges are, right? And education is just like you're selling education or information or
you're
experience,
learning from other people's experiences or
and people who pay for that, it's valuable to them. Especially now, you have to do something with it, and you should make it valuable to yourself, right? Obviously, if you don't do anything with it, I feel like it's less valuable. But when you're at these retreats, tell me things that happen that are like some standards. What I don't like is the group put all your hands in the
they
middle.
do a lot of that.
It's- you don't like camaraderie, which
Yeah.
is, I think, a lot of
You
it.
like to be alone.
I don't like people having some experience where they're like,
You just asked him, what are some of the
Oh,
experiences?
I like-
You're
I don't-
explaining them all.
Jason, what were some of the experiences you had? Keep in mind, I hate experiences.
So some of the things that you hate doing
Yeah.
are probably just things you're not comfortable doing. And
Yeah,
it's-
that's the same thing for
I
him.
hate not being comfortable.
One of the things like where I make my most money is setting up small like masterminds. So go to a Tony Robbins conference and set up a small group of 10 to 15 people that want to meet and discuss how they're going to use what they're getting and apply it to life and go through that for the next like 6 weeks.
Gotcha.
So if you are, it's all about what other people are doing and how they're hearing and digesting the information. So college is great and you spend a fortune on college, but you jump into like a $25,000, $35,000 mastermind and you get actually real application and you hear things that you just would have never even thought of that blow your mind.
I like this. We got to do more stuff that sounds cool.
Yeah.
Like mastermind sounds cool. If it's
Yeah.
like, welcome to the Tom and Dan Podcast Mastermind.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Write that down.
With the Tom and Dan Podcast Mastermind, we have the keys to unlock your true potential.
Oh, God, that's good.
What?
Potential.
What?
I'll get
There
a
you
big
go.
cardboard key.
Yeah, and I'm Mr. Potential.
Yeah. We need some gigantic door. And
Call,
then,
have Pabo design a cardboard key.
He's too busy.
I text him, they don't answer.
He must be mad at
So
us.
that right there will take you into the $5 to $10 million range.
Oh my God! And that's when I can be a true cuckold man. I want to get enough money where I can have the entire cast of Blacked online in my bedroom with my wife. What? Everyone listening knows what I just said. Every man listening knows what I just said.
StartLivingLucky.com.
Oh my God.
Here's the thing. There's value into hooking up with Jenna and Jason as far as because they
Hooking
are.
up with them.
Well, I'm saying you get, like
What kind of retreat is this?
Tony
Jason?
Robbins is too expensive at this point. You start, get better
yeah,
value
yeah,
out of
yeah.
starting small
Yeah.
with people that are giving you
And
similar
it's
information.
And a woman of the year.
That's it.
Yeah,
So,
woman of the year.
and that's a fact. Like we've already been through the Tony Robb. Like I don't even want to say how much and who all we've been with. I mean, it'll be listed. We've got VAs now, so they're getting it listed on the website. But the number of people and the number of masterminds that we've already been in, to be able to get it where we are now now's the time.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that we speak to and speak for is because their previous speaker is now charging $25,000 to $30,000 for a 1 hour speech.
Yeah.
And so we come in and we're around 5,000 to 7,500,
Nice.
and they're like, yeah, I will definitely take that, or Jana will speak there, and they're like, that's way in our budget. The other person is just way outside of our budget now.
I do voicemails in any one of my 3 voices for $5 a pop.
All right. And the Tom and Dan retreat, 4,200. We're undercutting you.
Yeah, we have to 3,800.
Jason, please tell Jana we hope she feels better.
Man.
And thank you for calling in. Again, startlivinglucky.com. And we appreciate it, dude. We'll talk to you next month.
Always a pleasure being here. Thanks, guys.
All right,
take
man.
it easy.
Take care. That is Jason.
Yep,
friend Jason.
We'll be right back. Oh, we won't.
No, we won't. but
God damn it.
it's fine.
I can cut that out.
No, it's fine.
Unlock your true potential is a good slogan, though.
I ripped that. I felt inspired by. I love the Mastermind. I do love buzzwords, dude. Buzzwords are great. What is the
It's Monday 4.
We have 3
Yes.
and nothing else.
Yes, because we moved Josh. And then where do we want to put Jack?
Jack Douglas.
Tuesday 1?
Do we have anything Tuesday for that date?
To record, you mean?
Yeah.
I have a weird job that'll air on Wednesday, and then we have the creators of Space Pups. We're going to be talking to them.
Yeah, that's Kenny. Space Pups. Number 1 question is, why did you choose to work with animals? Because that sounds like a fucking nightmare. I'd cut my feet off.
Well,
Making a movie with it does sound really
if
fun.
you got
though.
really well-trained animals, then it may not be that bad.
I bet it was super fun. He sounds like he's got a ton of stories. So, and it's on Tubi.
We'll just put it for. We don't have anything for Tuesday, right?
We have segment 3, which is Canadian Josh, because remember we moved him to.
Yeah. We have nothing for Wednesday, right?
No, not yet. You want to do Wednesday 3?
Let's do Wednesday 3.
Norm says, my mom has COVID. I was with her last night and kissed her gross cheek. It's not nice, Norm. It's your mom.
Jack's also a Zoom, just so you
Yep.
know.
I had to restart it because it was acting a little goofy. I don't think you're going to get it, Norm. I've been around so many people with COVID lately.
What?
Not lately. I mean, like from the beginning, like the last 6 months, and I haven't been sick. Canadian Josh inspired me yesterday. The thing that bothered Tom. EJ said, "You're gonna go on Ozempic?" or your hair being gray?
I'm guessing it's Ozempic.
I want to be on Ozempic.
I guess the problem, after I thought about it, the problem being is that, yeah, it takes your appetite away, but you're doomed to gain the weight back if you get off of it, if you don't change your daily routines. And and like you have
I
to,
think that's with almost anything.
you have to break almost like everything. Your body gets addicted to every single thing, caffeine, every drug, sugar, salts,
I think I'm almost
delicious
done with
food.
caffeine. I think caffeine I've been trying to dial in what's tearing my stomach apart or whatever. And with irritable bowel syndrome and other issues with my stomach and anxiety stomach, the absolute worst thing I can drink in excess is caffeine. It's the worst over anything. It's only an irritant.
Although I wonder if Ozempic would Okay, so follow me with this. So you're addicted to opioids, let's say, right? So the key is to get off opioids long enough for your body not to want them anymore, right? And because there's the chemical addiction.
Well, if you weigh less, you require less calories, maybe?
Well, have you weaned yourself off because you've been eating so much less? Let's say you're on Ozempic for a year and you lose your 50 pounds you want to lose, right?
Okay.
And then you get off Ozempic. Are you there for not going to be as hungry anymore because your body's used to eating less? Because if your body's used to eating less, you won't be as hungry.
The logic on that would make sense to me. I don't think you're necessarily going to balloon up if you go off of it, because your body is only taking in the calories. It's just changing what you.
But that happens all the time. I mean, people don't lose weight and just stay losing weight. It's a yo-yo, right? So that is because you get back into your old habits, right?
Yo-yo diet.
Is that more likely
When
to
you
happen
eat yo-yos.
with Ozempic? Because so it kills.
Might be too new to find out, right? It's kind of like everybody with vaping now. Like nobody really knows what's going to happen to everybody that's, vaping their faces off.
Well, it's better than smoking.
Oh, got him. Jack Douglas. Here we go. Hey, Jack, can you hear us and see us okay?
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Jack.
Hey, thanks for the time, man. We really appreciate it. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can.
Awesome.
All right. Perfect.
All righty.
I'm Dan.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's us. And then there's you. You
Yeah,
look
that's me.
great. I love your glasses.
Thank you.
All
Who's
right.
there? Who's that on the bottom next to me?
That's me. I'm Sam. Hi, nice to meet you.
Damn.
All right.
Been reading all about you, Jack.
Oh, yeah. We've been digging in on you.
You have.
You are mega famous. All right. Here we go. I can begin. Where does this go?
It'll be Wednesday 3.
Wednesday 3. All right. With let's not waste any time. Here we go. 3, 2. Welcome back to A Corporate Time.
On Zoom with us right now, legendary producer Jack Douglas. How you doing, Jack?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, I
Man.
just got back from L.A. I've been working on a film with Marty Scorsese and Ron Howard. And I produced the music for it. And I got a chance to do a score for a 50-piece orchestra. This was for the Emmys, but it's been broadcast, I think, already.
Wow. Holy Now, I know the documentary I believe you're talking about. I don't know.
Personality Crisis.
Yes, and it's about Buster Poindexter, or better
David Johansen.
Yeah,
Yes.
better known. Yeah, and it looks absolutely amazing. How does one get asked by Martin Scorsese to write music?
I didn't write the music. I just produced it.
Produce it rather.
But I had to write with my writing partner a 50-piece score to accompany the film at this event in Los Angeles at Royce Hall, which was really cool. How do I don't know. I've worked with Marty before on that blues project at HBO thing.
Yeah, well, maybe we should probably start, with the humble beginnings. I mean, how did you get into music? Because once we start talking about all the people you've worked with, there's not one person in our listening audience that wouldn't know any of these musicians.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Don't kid yourself.
Yeah. So did you start as a musician, or did you start?
I did. I started as a folk singer, like in the village playing,
Okay.
at like 15. And then when the Beatles came out, I got rid of my Martin and got a Les Paul, used Les Paul.
Yeah.
And
You
started
wanted to
rock.
go rock and roll.
Absolutely. Started a rock band. Played in rock bands, including accompanying. I went either guitar or bass, including accompanying Chuck Berry for a while.
Yeah, I saw that. I heard he was pretty cheap and didn't pay you guys very well.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's rock and roll school right there. And I was signed to a few major labels: Columbia, Bell, Epic. So I made the rounds as an artist for a while.
That's
So
crazy.
I knew the business from the inside. And my last band, which was Privilege, was produced by the Isley Brothers.
Holy moly! I had a dog named after the Isley Brothers. That's crazy.
What was it called? Isley?
He was
Yeah,
called
yeah,
Isley.
yeah.
He was a Dalmatian. Yeah, he was so smooth. That's why I called him Isley, because he was beautiful and smooth.
Well, that didn't. I mean, they signed us to T-Neck Records because they wanted to have like a hard rock band on their label, and we were a hard rock band. This was in '69.
Wow.
And when they mixed it, they added stuff that didn't make any sense, like congas and background singers, and then kind of R&B'd it up. Probably now it'd be interesting to listen to, but I objected to it, and they gave me a chance to mix it. I didn't know a damn thing about mixing. I'd been on the other side of the glass for some years.
Yeah.
And after mixing it, I decided that this is what I want to do, really. So I asked the guy at A&R Studios if he'd give me a job anywhere, and he said no, because I was like a threat to audio, because what I had put him through to mix that record.
Right.
So he sent me down to a studio that was probably one that they would be dealing with, and so it was Record Plant. It was just being rebuilt. And I went down there in the summer of '69, and my first gig was as a janitor, but that didn't last long because they had to have a union janitor in that building. So I became a general worker, and the very first project that I worked on, which was just delivering tapes from the truck to different rooms that overdubs were going to be done on, was Woodstock, the Woodstock Festival. And when I met Jimi Hendrix, I realized I was probably in the right place.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind
Yeah,
of
Reddy offered you a joint, and then you knew you made it, right?
Yeah, he handed me a joint, and I realized that if I did that, I would be wasted for the rest of the day. So I didn't
Ah,
smoke
you
it.
passed.
Whoa.
I also like
You passed on it. I would have hit
Jimi
it just for
Hendrix offered
the
you a
story.
joint. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
Well, you didn't know at the time that Jimi Hendrix would be Jimi Hendrix.
and Jack, how old were you how old were you when you met Jimi Hendrix? When all this was happening, how old are you?
22.
Wow. Can you imagine meeting
Baby.
Jimi Hendrix at 22? He hands you a joint, and then you have to you have to say no, thank you, because you finding your dream job.
Yeah, you're working.
So you don't want to screw it up.
Yeah.
That's right. He came out of it was so psychedelic. He came out of like a fog of smoke with a joint in his hand. He went,
So, Jack,
"Careful."
I'm curious. In '69, like, what equipment are you working with when you're talking
That's a
about
good
mixing
question. Yeah.
stuff and
Oh.
like being in studio? Like, what are we talking here?
The best stuff, the stuff that's most popular now, analog wise. Wonderful Fairchilds and tube boards and Pultecs and a lot of tube equipment. That's what I learned on.
Yeah, and it's always the best stuff. I can remember even when I was in bands, we would save our money so we could buy tube amps because they were always better. I mean, all these emulators came out and all the electric chips. Like I remember when these little boxes would come out, and it would be like, hey, it has 1,000 sounds in it. I'd be like, I don't.
Does it have one good one?
Yeah, I know.
One that I could use. I have to go through 999 before I find one I like.
Just give me the tubes. They sound so much warmer. Yeah.
I'll set the amp up. I understand that.
That's awesome.
I have to mention that while I was working as a janitor and a general worker, I had composer chops, and so you guys are all too young to remember this, but there was on ABC they had these after school specials on ABC, and I was scoring those shows. So I would be like the janitor or general worker in the afternoon, and then at night I would go in and score a TV show. So it was kind of odd, and I would do that under a different name. I would do it under my real name, which is John Douglas, because I thought that I would be selling out to rock and roll if they knew it was Jack Douglas. That was
You're
cool.
ahead of your time, man.
That's funny.
You're working at night to to do the stuff that you love during the day. That's awesome.
Yeah, it paid the bills because what I got paid at the record plant was $65 a week.
Wow.
That's what they pay me now here, Jack, just so you know.
$65
a week.
So,
yeah, but my rent in the East Village was $45 a month. So
Oh, no. Okay, not too bad. Not too bad.
So
that's insane.
Is it at the record plant? Is this where you started to kind of, I guess, cut your teeth on, and then eventually getting to work with like Aerosmith and John Lennon and Yoko Ono?
Yeah, I mean, what happened was a guy named Roy Cicala, who was a mentor to a bunch of us, Shelly Atkins, Jimmy Iovine, Jay Messina, myself. He would find someone that he liked, and then you would assist him, and he would teach you his way, which was a combination of his way and what he learned when he was at A&R, which was a very strict and get the sound, make it sound real. What you hear in the studio, reproduce that in the control room, and then if you want to fuck it up, but at least get the original sound of it first. So
Jack, I'm curious because I think a lot of people are naive to what a music producer even does. Like we see famous producers and we're like, oh yeah, this person produces, some of the best artists in the world, but I don't really understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
Could you explain it to me who
paramount to a film director? It's and every record or song that I work on, they each take I have to take a different view of them, what it needs. Do I need just to make it happen because the artist has such a great idea of what he wants and it's really good? Or do I have to get in there and hands-on rewrite with them and rearrange and then, engineer with Jay Messina usually?
Yeah, and you would actually end up at certain times, at least I believe, with even like Aerosmith songs, you'd play, wouldn't you? With
Yes, I played on a number of and sang the backing vocals on Sweet Emotion. That's
wow.
Yeah, so like
You're part of a roller coaster in Orlando.
It's pretty crazy to think that, and I read somewhere, and I think even Bill who set this up, and thanks again to Bill, a friend of yours friend of ours for setting this up, that you would you're labeled as the 6th member of Aerosmith, who recently they're saying that this is going to be, I guess their final tour. I mean, how cool is that you got to be a part of one of the greatest American rock bands of all time?
Yeah, it was great. And we were a family, really, because we would spend months in pre-production. And so we all got very close before we would even go into the studio. We want to make sure everything was right and there was enough room for good mistakes.
Yeah, how do you get the vibe? Because to go back to Tom's question about you being the director, for lack of a different term, on a record, is it you that has to sort of set the vibe for the artist when they come in? Like, how do you try to get the best out of them? What sort of tips and tricks do you do to try and get them maybe to relax or, dial it in?
Yeah, well, I assisted engineered on so many records. and I would really be taking mental notes of, and even as an engineer, take mental notes on what these producers were doing. And I would be like, that works, this doesn't work. I mean, I remember spending probably a month just on recording and editing American Pie. And so, I was like, this is crazy. I mean, it's already there. Why are we doing it 300 times? That doesn't work, and people get tired. And also working with John on things like the Imagine record and a few other things, I noticed that he was very impatient, and he liked to work quickly. And I think that's why when it came time to produce Double Fantasy, it went really well, because there was never a moment when we didn't have anything to do.
Yeah, and you guys kind of worked in secret on that, right? For a little while?
Well, we did, yeah.
That's pretty crazy. Like John didn't want people to know that he was putting this album together, so he hired Jack to basically get these other musicians together and not let them know who they were going to be recording for. And then he was directing the music for them.
From his cassettes that he gave me, he sent me from Bermuda, I charted those songs, and then I went to rehearsal with the charts. The band would play the songs, and I would sing them about an octave lower.
So they had no idea they were collaborating.
And
with
Tom, and I don't know if you know, when he says charts, I mean, you're sitting down and by hand, you're writing out everybody's part, right?
Yeah.
Tom, you're an amazing human being. I mean, good Lord, sir. Wowie wooey. I mean, and who has... I just can't even believe what I just heard. That's nuts.
Well, those are session musicians, so they could
yeah, they'll knock it right out. Sure.
Yeah.
Jack,
yeah.
I'm curious when you hear a song, how accurate were you when you thought to yourself, oh, this will be a hit? Or this won't, like
guessing it correct.
When you're working on like a song as iconic as "Sweet Emotion," right? Like just gigantic. Yeah. Did you know when you're working on that, like this will be a hit? People will love this.
No, and I never tried to make hits. I tried to fulfill the song and the best it could be, and then after that I mean, when Walk This Way was a hit, I was like, what?
Walk This Way.
Yeah, I mean, that is a song that not only transformed rock and roll, but that's a song that transformed hip hop.
Yeah.
It's
music genres.
Again, another thing that you got to, touch, and that's crazy, man.
No, I'll tell you a story about a guy who did know, okay? Because Jimmy Iovine was my assistant for some years.
Wowie.
When I was engineering, he was my assistant. And we were still very good friends because we share a lot of very funny memories. But Jimmy would be running the machine, and the producer would say to me, "Okay, we're gonna punch on the next verse, okay?"
Yeah, he's gonna punch him in.
Yeah, and I go, "Okay, Jimmy, you got that? Got it, Jack." Okay, so the verse would come and go, and he wouldn't punch. And I go, "Jimmy, come on, we got to get this." So we'd do it again. He'd miss it again. We'd both turn around and look at it. And Jimmy, what's up? And he would say, I was just thinking, I think this is a hit single. So it was back then that he had, that's what made him so successful in running a record company. He knew what a hit single was. And producers hired him quite often to assist or engineer because they would take his advice.
There are guys that sometimes can do that. Steve-O around here, not the jackass Steve-O, the Steve-O that worked at JRR here in town. Yeah. He is known as one of the more modern guys that can listen to any song and be like, that's your single there. Or
Jack, what do you think that is? It's just he intuitively knows that the public will like a certain song?
He's got his thumb on it, I guess.
Yeah, he does. He does. He knows the market and at the time, whatever the time is, period, he gets it. He just gets it.
Do you think it's because he understands what people want and then like he likes it, so he's like, all right, if I like it, then the general public, we are aligned?
He also understands the part that doesn't even matter to the public, and
that's
I think that's important, is knowing that the part that we don't even know.
And the other thing he did once he ran Interscope was, if I like it, I will make you like it. because he had the muscle behind him.
Right.
You know,
He pushed
I will
it,
make
yeah.
him like it. Like
Yeah,
when I can't remember the artist. I can't remember the artist's name, but he bought advertising time on a Seattle radio station, like 3 minutes of advertising time, and they just played that song. So it sounded like it was in rotation, but it was an ad, and it worked.
That's really smart.
Wow. So,
that's really.
He basically bought commercial time and just played the song on a music station,
Genius.
and then
It's so simple too.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
Jack, I want to talk to you about that because you've been in the industry so long. You saw the evolution of that. You know what I'm saying?
And
From
still
the
doing
60s.
it.
Yeah,
He
still
did Robin Zanderson's, music. That record's really good, by the way. I've been listening to that today. Well done, man. It's really
We're
good.
very proud of it.
Yeah,
And, I mean, we feel humbled and happy to have him on our very young label.
Yeah, he's extremely talented, and I didn't even know of him until Billy sent it across our desk, and yeah, it's really well done. Sorry, Tom.
I'm just curious, Jack, what your thoughts are about how the whole industry has evolved and what the internet and technology has done to it, and just your thoughts in general about the evolution of music producer.
Oh, well, a music producer now basically is the guy who sits at a computer and makes your track. That's for pop music and hip hop, and and those are the biggest in the business. That's where it's at. So the producer is the guy who makes the tracks, and then comes in 5 or 10 writers to write, to make sure that every vowel is right. So it's just different. You got a guy in Sweden that it just writes these hits one after the other.
Well, I think what you got to do that I think is so cool, and it's my favorite form of music, is when you actually all record in a round and you're all in the same room, and you can see the producer, you can see his assistant, you can see you see your bass player.
Analog involved.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I have always liked it when all the musicians can see each other. Do you know when you started, do you know kind of when when music to you started to be like, oh, I'll just shoot you this MP3 or I'll send you that? Like, were you okay with that, or did you see the changes?
I'm okay with all of it. I mean, as long as people are making music, I'm fine.
That's such a great answer. Yeah.
And I'm concentrated more now. I run a label and I mix for people with Jay Messina. We have a mixing service.
Nice.
But primarily, I would prefer my artists to produce their own or have an outside producer, and concentrate on my film work as a place to get off my rocks.
Yeah, I like that.
Jack, I have to ask you a couple questions because you've lived a fascinating life, and I need to know how you were held hostage on a ship to Liverpool.
No. See, I wasn't held hostage.
Oh, that's what the interview said.
I went there because it was the cheapest way to get to Liverpool.
Okay.
But what happened was that when I got there, like a 19-year-old kid, naive, and my buddy with our guitars and our little Fender amps and a knapsack for clothes.
Oh my gosh.
Immigration came on board and said, "What are you doing here?" And we said, "We've come to play." And that was the wrong thing to say. Do you have a work permit? No. Do you have a return trip ticket? No. Do you have any kind of visa whatsoever? No. Okay, so when this ship leaves in 5 days, you're leaving with it. So that night, I escaped from the ship, which was really a lot easier than it sounds, because I suspected there was going to be a guard outside the ship, but there was nothing. Just walked down the gangplank through the fence. My buddy wouldn't come. He was scared. Eddie Leonetti, he wouldn't come. So first place I went, we had some pound sterling. That was the only way we prepared, I think, was to have some pound sterling. And I took a bus that said Central Liverpool from outside the docks, and I went there. I got off. I saw a record store. I went in, and that week they had released Rubber Soul.
Oh, that's my favorite Beatles album.
Yeah. So I bought the record, and I mean, the store was packed with Beatle fans. They're hometown boys. So I went into a listening booth. They had listening booths there. And I put the record on. About 6 other people came in with me so they could hear it. not being able to buy it. And I listened to it, and I was just knocked out. And I was like, I've got to stay here. This is incredible. And I'm going to meet the Beatles, and I'm going to play music, and I'm going to hang out at the Cavern Club. All those things came true, but this kid had no idea how that was going to happen. And across the street from the record store was a big newspaper office. It was the Liverpool Echo, and I went in there and I said, these English people, they love sensational stuff about musicians. I went in and I told the receptionist that I was an American musician being held captive on a ship in the harbor. She looked at me like, well, you're here. That doesn't make sense. And she said, I'll get an editor. And he came out. I told him the whole story. I mean, it was 20-something days crossing the Atlantic in November. It was a terrible trip. And it took forever to get to Liverpool because it was a tramp steamer, which means you go everywhere. Anyway, he said, I'll take you back to the docks. I'm going to watch you go back on the ship. If you go back on the ship, I'll have tons of press. But you owe us the exclusive. I said, fine. And we'll get you out. And the next morning, the London Mirror, the Liverpool Echo, Manchester, this or that, they were all on board. The next afternoon, it was now day 3, they hired these girls to march up and down in front of the ship with plaques that said, "Free the Yanks, free the Yanks." We would lean over and wave at them, and they would scream like we were rock stars. I wondered how much they got paid to do that, but it worked. And on day 4, immigration came on board, said, "We don't know how you did this, but we're going to let you go. We're going to give you student visas. The guitars you have to ship back. The newspaper has put up a bond for you." They didn't, but they said they would, for a return trip. And we got cut loose in Liverpool. First place we went to the Cavern, and we would hang out there every night. Soon we had a band, and we played. And then one night after a gig, maybe 3 weeks in, this guy comes up. He says, "Hey, aren't you one of the 2 Yanks?" And of course we said, "Yeah, that's us." "Well, my friend's around the corner. He wants an autograph." Went around the corner. It was immigration. Got arrested.
Oh, they got you.
and went to London and then Southampton in shackles.
My God.
And we got deported. But when we got back to New York, we were kind of celebrities because I've been sending all this stuff. My buddy who was on the ship with me, he formed a band called the Soul Survivors and had a pretty big hit, Expressway to Your Heart. And I joined a group called the Angels. We had a hit with My Boyfriend's Back, and I toured with them for a while until I met up with another group and then went on. But years later, now I'm on this Imagine record, John Lennon. I'm in another room. I'm the editor, and I'm to do the transfers.
Yeah.
All handwritten notes by John. Transfer this, edit this, cut this. I'm hearing this music before a lot of other people have any idea what's going on. I'll do the work. It gets sent down to the tracking rooms, and they're working. At maybe 4 days into this process, the door opens. It was a small room, and John walks in, and he said, he probably just wanted to get away from Phil for a little while.
Yeah, I can see that.
He says, "Can I hang up in here for a little while?" I said, "Well, of course you can." So he sat on the other side of this board. There was a couch, and he put his feet up on the window ledge, and all I could see was sneakers and cigarette smoke. And when I got brave enough, I said to him, "You've been to Liverpool?" And he popped up, and he said, "You've been to Liverpool? Where are you from?" I said, "Born and raised in New York." He said, "Why would you want to go there? It's kind of dirty and there's not much going on. And, everybody wants to come here, including me." So I said, "Well, this was in '65 and I was a musician and I wanted to, swim in the musical waters of the Mersey. I just wanted to be a part of it." He kind of laughed and he said, "So how'd that work out?" I said, good and bad. Bad, I got deported, but good, I made a lot of noise before I did. And he said to me, "Are you one of those two crazy Yanks that was in all the newspapers?"
Imagine
Oh,
a
wow.
Beatle saying, "Were you that guy?"
I see what you did there. But
And
that,
I
yeah,
said,
imagine
and I
that.
said, "That was me, yeah."
That's
He
nuts.
goes, then he got a little bit aggravated, and he said, "We put out a record. Should have been just us on the front pages of at least the local paper, but who is it? You on the
Ah,
That
come
sounds
on,
like
John.
Lennon. Yeah, that sounds like
And
a
we-
yeah.
We cracked up, and he said, this is too good. There's something written in the stars here that this guy, you
Yeah.
are working on this project with us. So now you're coming down and you're working with us." Not-
Amazing.
So it really was
Amazing.
that story told to John, and then John's like, "You're my guy," and then you were his guy, right?
That's crazy.
gave me chill
Yeah.
bumps.
It does go to show you, like, sometimes you just have to try, and like, you know, you got on a steamship that took an insane amount of time to
Okay, now
Almost a month.
Jack, I gotta tell you, that part sounds terrifying. You were a young boy.
There were like 40-foot seas. It was terrible.
Oh my God.
You're like a child. For
Well, he
Christ's
also basically drove through a hurricane to record a song with Patti Smith.
Yeah, with Patty. Yeah, she called me up. She said, "It was this is the title song, Radio Ethiopia," and she said, "We've been trying it and trying it and trying it." She didn't like where we had got to, and I was home. They said, and I was living in Montclair, New Jersey, which is a drive to New York.
Yeah.
And she called me up and she said, "Tonight, the night, I could tell this. It's the gods are trying to stop us, and so you
So
got to come
poetic.
in." We came in, and I had to put sandbags around the doors so that water didn't come into the studio. It was so bad, and the wind was howling. And we recorded it, and that was the take.
Wow. Unbelievable.
I mean, I wonder if like any of that energy can be felt or heard in the take. You know, like because what?
She heard it.
Yeah, what a crazy. I mean,
I spent the rest of the night in the studio. I slept there.
Jack, do you have a book? Because it seems like you should.
yeah,
No.
or a TV show,
Yeah, see, it seems like
a TikTok. How about a TikTok?
just a book of stories about
Yeah.
working with the biggest,
biggest
music
musicians.
legends of
Yeah.
all time, because I feel like you've forgotten more
Well-
stories than most people have ever lived.
Well, let's talk about this, Sam, because we won't waste too much more of your time. But Sam was telling me something that we're not even sure you get credited with doing, and that's working on the New York Dolls' first album. Is that right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm credited as engineer,
Oh, as
But-
engineer, okay, but not producer.
but Todd wasn't at very many of the sessions because he wasn't very fond of them. So basically, the studio, the institution the asylum was left to the patients, and we got it done. All we had to do was keep the label away so they didn't know that Todd wasn't there. Todd came in, we mixed it in 4 days, and Todd would say to me, "They're not very good," and I would, while they were out there playing, and I would say, "They're not great musicians, but together they make this noise that seems important to me. There's something about it. It's very street." And I was a downtown guy. I lived in the East Village. I was frequented Max's, and so I just knew, that it was important. The thing I remember that cracked me up the most was we were doing, I think, Personality Crisis, and David was doing a live vocal to keep the band going. And when he came in, Todd said to him, "Well," not knowing what else to say because I knew he didn't like it. He said, "Wow, that'll be really good when we put some harmony on it." Todd liked a lot of production and harmony. "When we put some harmony on that, it's going to be great." And David said to him, "Harmony? Are you accusing me of having melody?"
That's awesome. And the stuff that you got to see the stuff that you got to see and be a part of is truly, absolutely insane.
Yeah. The Who sessions, they were insane.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
I mean the Who,
Pink Floyd you work with.
Yeah.
I mean,
All I
mean-
did was sound effects for the Wall album.
That's pretty cool, though. They flew you out into the desert at an Air Force
They did.
base.
Yeah, they flew me out there with microphones and a night cam, and it was fun.
And you got to work with.
That was fun.
All I did was sound effects on the wall.
Yeah.
I recorded helicopters and jet fighters.
And you got to work with Keith Moon, right?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, that's one of my favorite. I mean, I think as far as rock and roll drummers, that's your guy. And
yeah, I always wondered how the band knew when that fill was done and where the one was.
It doesn't seem
But
real.
They always got it. But they kind of adopted me for a couple of weeks, and the album we were doing then was Lighthouse.
Okay.
So, or Lifeboat, or it wasn't Who's Next, but all those songs ended up on Who's
Sure.
Next.
Yeah.
But we would meet at the Hotel Navarro like 1:00 in the morning after a session, and Pete had the front suite facing Central Park. It was 9 floors up, 9 very high floors. And what's his name had the suite next to him. The other guys didn't party Moose partied a bit. The rest of the guys, no. But I would go up there and we'd be waiting for everybody to show up in Pete's suite, and we'd be sitting there, and the window would open, and he would come in through the window, which means that he crawled on a ledge along, 9 floors up, which is more like.
It's just
Why would he do that? Why would he come to the window?
Why would you do
No, but here's the thing: no one thought that was weird.
That's just him.
Hi. And then we would go to these places. I'm a New Yorker. I didn't know these places existed that we would go to. They were crazy. Crazy fun too.
Yeah, so you're kind of along for the ride with all these lunatic musician geniuses, right?
Yeah.
And you're one yourself. What a great story, man.
Jack, I'm telling you, if you write a book, I'll
first in line.
I'll get it because
He'll need an audio version now.
Yeah. So I would like to hear you tell the stories.
And you can produce it.
Yeah, it's true. You can produce your own audiobook.
Well, Jack, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Yeah, man, we appreciate it. Congrats on the new record that you put out with Robin Zander's kiddo. That's such a good.
Robin Taylor Zander.
Yeah, Robin Taylor Zander is so talented. Part of Cheap Trick now. I didn't even know that.
Oh,
That's
really?
how long.
He has been for 8 years.
Yeah, I don't know why I never. I guess they, you just kind of get in there and you just do it. You don't have to make a big deal about it, right? I mean, you just go in there and do the music.
He's out with them right now. But he's stationed in New York, which means I can get a lot of work done.
That's awesome.
The next release is Ellie Lowe. It's a single called I'm Afraid, which I just put into a movie. And the interesting thing about our label, it's called Confidential Records, New York City, is who the head of the record company is. I'm the president, but there's a guy on top of it, all of it. And his name is Douglas Durst. Ring a bell?
That's Fred Durst.
No. No. Come on. Fake Durst.
Douglas Durst.
His mother was crazy.
Well, that's a lot of people.
all that.
I don't know. Does the chat room know?
His brother was a serial killer.
Oh, Robert Durst. Oh, Robert Durst's brother. Okay.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
That is nuts.
And you couldn't be further away from it's a family business. It's worth billions of dollars. I think he's the second or third biggest holder of real estate in New York. He gave us an office on the 48th floor of the Bank of America building. He owns the building. And he just loves it. He's an ex-hippie. He was a long-haired freak, graduated from Berkeley. He thought, I'll just be this like rich hippie. It's going to be great. And then his father called him up and said, your older brother is peeing in the waste paper baskets. It's not going to be him. It's going to be you. And so he came in and ran the company, and quite successfully he's still running it. And he's a beautiful person.
Well, that's awesome,
An
man.
environmentalist and just the greatest.
That's so
And
crazy.
he loves being in this business with us.
Well, congrats on the awesome label, man. That's really really neat, and congrats on all the great releases you got coming up.
Jack, what's the key to living an interesting life? Because I feel like over
Still being relevant when you get older.
Well, most people
God,
never
I'm
live
46
an
and I don't feel
interesting-
relevant anymore.
Yeah, but like I feel, Jack, you've lived such an interesting life, and there's so much value, at least to me, in that. Where I feel like you can't take money with you, you know, whatever. But the stories and the
Relationships,
the
friendships,
friendships, and the
art that you make.
I mean, yeah, you've accumulated in your life is super fascinating to me, and interesting and valuable to a human life. And I wonder if there's any tip you can give anybody out there about how to live an interesting life.
Yeah, how to be like Jack.
Or did it just happen?
I think it's you know, do what is true for you. You know, you got to find that truth, the one that works the best, and then have a family that supports you and you love, and they love their lives. And you know, I have a very interesting family. I have some incredible kids and great grandkids, and that's magical to me. So
Man, that's so awesome.
Well, Jack, we really appreciate
Yes,
you
thank you for
taking
the
the
time.
time.
Thanks for the time, and hopefully we get to do it again, okay?
sure, it's fun.
All right, man. Well, hey, take care, and yeah, we appreciate all the stories.
Okay, play that record.
Absolutely, we will indeed.
Thanks, Jack.
That is Jack Douglas from...
A million
Yeah.
projects. I
don't
mean,
even-
what else do you
I
say?
honestly
There's
don't
so
even
there's
know.
too many
I
to
honestly
name.
don't even know what to say about
Yeah.
that. Thank you, Billy.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Samantha, for all of your diligent research. She read over 100 articles on him today to
Yeah,
find
so much.
the best little tidbits, and man, oh man, that was great.
You know, it is interesting that sometimes you, like, if someone would, I'm sure young Jack was like telling his friends, like, hey, I'm going to take a steamship over to Liverpool and I'm going to meet the Beatles.
You're crazy.
Yeah, they're like, no, you're not. You're
Okay.
going to waste your and
It
you're like,
sounds
It was
like-
a different time, though.
Thank
too.
you.
I know.
It sounds like something at that time you would do. It's like, I want to be
People
the
would
best.
pick up and just go to New York
Yeah.
just to try and be in the music scene. They'd live in like they'd be homeless
So
just to
is,
play.
But
is there
there's-
a version of that where, for me, okay, let's say I'm the new version of that today. Is there a version of that where I sent my demo via Twitter to Drake and
No.
he heard, like, what? I don't
think-
think there's a comparable story,
Well,
is there?
Go
think-
viral on TikTok.
Or an adventure.
Now think about what Jack said. So he goes on the steamship, and then they tell him, like, you can't get out. You don't have a work visa. You can't just go to a different country and start living there. Like,
Right.
there's rules. So they detained him.
Which
They're like,
apparently they do a lot in Canada too, which I did not know.
yeah. Well, you got to have like
Go in there next
work
year, I'm
visas
nervous.
and stuff. But anyway, so then they're like, you got to stay here for 5 days, and then you'll leave back with the ship. So, well, first, like he said, his buddy didn't want to leave the ship. Jack's like, screw this, I'm leaving.
I'm
So
out.
You got to have the balls to take chances, right? Then he
Oh
goes
yeah,
to the,
you gotta be able to take chances.
he goes to the record store, and then he.
I had a question about that. The other guy benefited, right?
For sure.
Yeah,
The
well,
other
yeah,
guy
yeah.
didn't do
Yeah,
anything.
yeah,
Jack
you're
did
right.
it all. The other guy should have been boo.
Because think about it, if
boo.
Jack never leaves the ship and follows the rules, then he
Right.
this never happens. So then he has the thought to go to the media at the time when
That's
that wasn't
brilliant,
a thing.
dude.
Like think about in the '60s, what the media was like. It you know, they weren't just picking up any story back then.
No.
Like it had to be. I feel like more legitimate news than today because there was less like newspapers.
There were no clickbait.
So,
you know?
but-
they
but-
tried to be legitimate.
But he was smart enough to go to the media and then manipulate the media into getting the word out, which helped him get off the ship and then get the news story, which John Lennon saw, which years later then he
Put
brought
it
back
on.
up.
Like it was like
Crazy.
John Lennon was like Jack's hero. So just imagine like your biggest idol in your life being like, I read about you in the newspaper.
And it didn't
Blow my wig
like
off.
you want to be a musician. He's a musician. You find out that you truly love mixing music. You meet him years later, and the mistake that you made that ended up not being a mistake was your shoe, like the foot in the door, that made you lifelong friends.
Yeah. No, I know. It is crazy.
Well, anyway, thank you, Billy. Thank you, Sam. We got to
We'll
get out of
never
here.
be that cool.
No.
Well, I met Travis Pastrana one time, and he
Oh,
knew
yeah.
Drunky the Baby.
Uh-huh.
I was just
Oh, so it's the same as John Lennon.
Yeah, he
Very
was like, "Are you
similar.
Drunky the Baby?" He said, "Are you
Very-
Drunky the Baby?" I'm
yeah.
like, "Yes, I am."
That's very similar.
Then he gave me his phone number.
I met Billy Lane, the chopper builder, one time at the at what was that? At it's not called that anymore. Destination Daytona. Back when it was called Bruce Rossmeyer's. And then he got into a car accident and went to jail.
Killed a person on a scooter. Right?
Oh,
Not
no.
good. It's not good.
Yeah. It's all similar.
Yeah,
All right.
it's very similar.
We will see you tomorrow.
God, that was great.
That was good.
How good was that?
Thanks.
What
Sam,
did he
for-
say at 8 minutes?
He said
he said
shit
fucking.
or fucking. Yeah, he said
Wow.
fucking up. He said it twice.
All right, got it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I was trying to answer Marcus Ryan's email.
Oh, how's he doing? That
He's
is
good.
Friday?
That is Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday, 3 and 4.
Today? I mean, next Wednesday?
Next Wednesday, the 24th.
Next Wednesday, the 24th. And we don't have anything else?
No. I guess in all those articles when they were talking about he was held hostage, they literally were just like, no, you can't go anywhere. You're supposed to stay on the ship for 5 days. They made it sound like, like the ship was taken over or something.
Yeah. Well, that's how I'm sure, even back then the media is spinning a more interesting story. But that's what got him the publicity.
Saved his life.
Interesting.
Or not saved his life, but you know what I mean. All right, guys. Are we
Yeah, that's
doing
it.
that's it?
I need
All
an
right.
intro, maybe a couple.
Well,